In this video, we're going to take a look at what is known as finger rolls, or unaffectionately also known as just rolling. And this is something that guitar players inevitably have to deal with at some point. So rolling it is, let's check it out. Alright, what we're going to tackle in this video are rolls ascending, meaning from a lower pitch string to a higher pitch string. We're going to also attack different string groupings, so 2-string rolls and 3-string rolls, both ascending and descending. So let's check out 2-string rolls ascending. The easiest way to go about doing this is to realize that the first note that you're about to play, and for me I'm going to play F sharp, I'm going to play 2nd string 7th fret right here. And I'm going to roll to the 1st string 7th fret, which is going to be a B. A lot of players, what they will do is that right away they will flatten or bar the 2 strings that they're supposed to be rolling. If you do that, you're basically setting yourself up for the opposite of what you're really aiming for, which is separation between the notes. So when you start with a roll, begin with the finger in exactly the position it should be if you weren't going to roll. What I mean by that is very tip of the finger, knuckle arched, business as usual. The roll is simply this: collapse your knuckle a little bit. The beauty of this is you get clarity on this note. The 1st string, in case your pick happened to hit it, will actually be muted. You won't hear anything you don't want to hear. Now when you go to do the roll, you collapse your knuckle. That is going to put the pressure on the 1st string, which is exactly what you want. And side benefit, there'll be just enough flesh of your index finger still touching the string you left, muting it. And again, ensuring the clarity and separation between those 2 notes that you're aiming for. Again, what to avoid is overshooting the initial string, meaning you actually end up barring the 2 strings. And notice that my index finger is past where I want it to be. Again, for that initial note, I want it to be right on the tip, so that when I collapse, I get new note, no problem, and I get old note, muted. To do it backwards, to do a descending roll. So again, we're going to play the 1st string, 7th fret, and then we're going to roll over to the 2nd string. We have to basically reverse engineer this. In other words, our 1st note is not going to be on the very tip of the finger. It's going to be overshooting a little bit. We're going to be basically pressing with the fleshy part, and what we're aiming for is that the very tip of our finger is nudging the 2nd string from underneath it. Underneath meaning like from this part. What you don't want to do is have your finger over top of the 2nd string yet. Because again, that's closer to being a bar, which will probably result in the note ringing out together, and we don't want that. So reverse roll, descending roll. 1st finger is on its target, overlapping a little bit, and the underside of the fingertip is nudging the 2nd string. Now when I go to pick the 2nd string, I'm simultaneously going to lift the knuckle or pop the knuckle up, and right away the pressure goes in a positive manner onto the 2nd string, giving us the note, and the note underneath, muted. I could sit there all day, you'll never hear the 2 notes together. Okay? So that's what you want to do for 2-string rolls. Now when it comes to 3-string rolls, it's actually the same basic principle. It's just that when you do a descending 3-string roll, you have to account for the fact you are going to be essentially barring 2 of the 3 strings, because the last string, we have to make sure that our very tip of our index finger, or whatever finger you're using to roll, it's not always going to be the index, that has to be nudging the string that you're going to hit last. So if you're doing a 2-string roll, you're going to nudge the 2nd string. If you're doing a 3-string roll, you're going to nudge the 3rd string, and everything else below it is essentially barred. But here's the trick. With barring strings 1 and 2, to play the 1st string, I literally pick it. To roll to the 2nd string, I do a semi-pop of the knuckle. None of these terms are technical, by the way. It sounds silly to say semi-pop, but that's what I'm doing. I pop the knuckle just a little bit. Just enough. It actually does mute out the 1st string. But I'm not on the very tip of the finger yet. I'm reserving that move for when I get to the last string, or the 3rd string in this case. And you get a clean roll in every direction if you do that. The hardest part about that one, it does take a little preparation. You do have to kind of get used to the idea of overshooting past the 2 initial strings and nudging your final destination string, the last string that you're going to hit for your roll. That's the hardest part, because when you're actually playing away, it's hard to think of, oh, I need to precisely be nudging my last string. That takes a bit of time, it takes a bit of practice. You can actually practice that literally just doing what I'm doing right now. Not playing. What I'm doing is I'm positioning my finger to, looks like I'm barring, I am barring essentially, but I'm really focusing on the very tip of my finger, right about there, nudging my last string. Eventually you'll get to a point where you won't overshoot, you won't go too far onto your last string, you'll be just underneath it. And that is the sweet spot you want to get to. And it literally is the reverse engineer of what you would do if you were to do an ascending 3-string roll. You would do it just the way you would a 2-string roll. Initial string, only that finger on that string. No barring, no pre-bar. Flatten your knuckle a tiny bit. Now flatten it all the way. Done. That's basically it. Let me know how that works out for you in the comments, and thanks for checking it out.